Disclaimer. The content featured in the following broadcast is purely for educational information purposes. It is based on real-life experiences and POV. Do not contact anyone featured or referred to in this video.
And please do your own research.
In this video, we're going to look at meal replacements and why they're the latest startup trend to make money for venture capitalists and banks. And we'll explain why they're not good for your health, the environment, and are the perfect vehicle for legal fraud schemes, even being owned by a convicted fraudster.
Looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes, finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes.
There's no doubt we have an issue with accessing quality food because travelling just about anywhere has become such a chore. It takes a lot of effort and planning just to make yourself a decent meal. There's also been a long-standing tradition with the weight loss industry. And mix that all up with the health and fitness and manosphere podcast world. And for venture capitalists, you've got the perfect opportunity to rebrand and make more money out of it. So companies like Huel Athletic Greens. There's even one called Why Food, because we need it to survive. Well, they've come up with the magical solution of offering a powder to replace your meal or supplement your diet. And they're currently sponsoring YouTube creators who are doing their best to convince us it's a good idea, which is how it came to my attention and why I'm making this video. So the type of product they're selling is nothing new. We've had Herbalife, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, and of course the tummy tea, which was made famous during the heyday of Instagram with most notably the Kardashians and a bunch of other celebrities that swore the size of their waist was only because of the tummy tea. And although there's been scandals and controversy, these products just haven't gone away, and now we've got Ozempic. But this is a much cheaper option. So back before food became so mass-produced and processed, well, we didn't have such an issue with being overweight and obesity. And instead of focusing on how the food was produced or the additives going into it as causing the problems, they came up with medications and a whole diet industry. So a woman who was apparently struggling with her weight in the 1960s and 70s, she also took a lot of pills. In fact, she died of an overdose. Well, her son was Mark Hughes.
Okay. The new success built, the first thing, more money.
In 1980, he built the company Herbalife, selling a weight loss shake powder out of the boot of his car. Now, it's real hard to find any accurate information on this guy's history. He's kind of worshipped as some kind of sales god.
I work like crazy and my people work like crazy.
But I did find out that he took drugs from an early age and was sent to a reform school, which allegedly was a cult. He also had several beauty queen wives and a son who he, in a speech, said he didn't need to spend any time with.
Same way I have to do with my little kid. I can't be around Alex all the time. I leave Alex sometimes. But it's fine, Alex understands.
And what I didn't know until I started researching this video was that there was a connection with Herbalife and Scientology, which we will get to in a minute. And he was a Scientologist, and Herbalife was built on the MLM, multi-level marketing business model. And for anyone who doesn't know, an MLM is a business model or pyramid scheme where sellers or distributors who buy the product are recruited. And so that's how the business makes its money, because all the sellers have to buy the stock. So Mark was selling a monthly program, and he would offer a discount if you became a distributor and a commission if you recruited another seller. And after 2 years, there were complaints from customers that this product was making people sick. And they were sued by the US government for making fraudulent claims on its product and using illegal selling practices. And if using Herbalife is so good for you, how did its founder die at only 44 years old, full of pills and alcohol?
Authorities said that Mark Hughes died of an accidental overdose after mixing alcohol with a toxic level of antidepressants. Scott Carrier, of the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office, said final autopsy results found that Hughes, 44, had ingested a toxic combination of alcohol and doxepin, an antidepressant he was taking to help him sleep. His blood alcohol level was measured at 0.21.
Well, at the time of his passing, it transpires that Mark was trying to buy his company back. And that's probably because after the court case, he needed to refinance to carry the business on, after paying the fine and legal costs. And my understanding is to do that, he traded it as a public company to get investors. A panel of nutritionists found that some of the substances in Herbalife had cancer-causing properties. And doctors testified that, to put it politely, it caused a lot of gut issues. And Mark dismissed all this, and the case was eventually settled with an $850 million fine. My understanding is that they got round the legalities by changing the labelling and the classification, so the FDA couldn't come after them again, and that's why these products have gone on. And there's never been any long-term studies on any of them. We don't know the actual effects they have on the body. The best thing people can say about them is they're not that bad. But in this video, we're going to show it's a lot worse than they think, because we're going to follow the money. This guy, James Smith, he kind of explains how it works.
I get a message from one of my rugby teammates' wives. I read it, she goes, "James, we need to talk." I go, "Oh my God, she's divorcing Paul." I went and I met her on my lunch break from personal training. I sit down with her, I go, "Is everything okay?" She then tries to sell me Isogenics meal replacement shakes to sell to my clients. And then she sells to me that if I get those clients onto it, then they get their friends onto it, I'll get kickback from the whole thing. Of course, people are incentivized for you to change your diet. Oh, what's that? Food? No wonder you're fat. You need to be having meal replacement shakes. That's you should be drinking your meals. Not to mention other companies. What do you think they're doing? When putting together the ingredients for a meal replacement shake, you're going to get the ingredients from all the cheapest suppliers of flax seeds and oils and whatever. You're going to put it together and try and make the biggest amounts of profit margins so you can pay people to endorse your product. And they're going to go, "Oh yeah, that meal replacement shake's great. I actually lost weight because of it." They're getting paid to say it. Are you out of your damn mind? Drinking meals instead of eating? Are you crazy? That's going backwards as a civilization.
So in my previous videos, I've talked about activist investors and how they make money out of buying debt. So what if I told you that this guy, William Ackman, he makes money out of shorting bonds, and that's what caused the banking crash of 2008. And he did a similar thing with COVID, but that's a story for another video. Well, he employed the services of Aaron Smith Levin, and he was a Scientologist, and he has an intelligence firm, meaning he did undercover intelligence gathering for corporate institutions. And remember, a lot of Scientologists are distributors for Herbalife.
This is they call the bottom of the pyramid strategy, and it was a strategy where they decided to target the poorest people in the world. I mean, it sounds incredible, but it's actually true. We presented a document, which you can see on the web, which was an internal document at Herbalife, where they made the case for pursuing this market. People who make $2 a day, $3 a day, $5 a day. And so you have a company based in the United States that decided to target this population with a business opportunity, which itself is a fraud.
He doesn't care that this product could be harmful. He actually owns stakes in fast food companies and that people are getting ripped off, and neither does Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley. They are profiting on the existence of this business more than anyone, and the excessive borrowing they do for these funds is the real reason why the country, the world, is in such debt. And why they lobby governments, is it's in their financial interests to keep it going. And Herbalife is incorporated in the Cayman Islands, which is a country that offers tax avoidance. Anyway, there was another trial, and what came out this time was that Herbalife had used a different company name to pay a UCLA professor for a study using mice with some of the alleged ingredients in their products. And so all this has been going on before any of these new companies that we're going to move to now. Athletic Greens was founded by Chris Ashenden over in New Zealand, a former cop. He was convicted of fraud for his property scheme where he scammed vulnerable people. On sentencing, the judge said, quote, "His companies contained elements of cynicism and the calculated exploitation of people. He also apparently spent all his parents' life savings and then turned to drink for the stress. He owes money in New Zealand and Australia. I wonder if he's ever paid it back. Who better than to be a salesperson for a health supplement, originally called Brain Quicken, according to this article. I guess like Chris Hughes, he decided to make his own version. And also like Chris, he must have talked people into believing this thing actually worked.
Because I think we all want to believe that for $100 a month, we can completely even out our nutritional deficiencies.
There's no evidence or research to back up the company's claims. All you've got is the word of the influencers promoting it, who, by the way, are getting paid, or doing a sponsored partnership.
Interested, talk about it. Felt like it was everywhere on every major podcast that I listened to.
There's no documentation on how he scored the original investment as a convicted fraudster with millions in debt. But he's clearly used the internet and the fitness podcast world to make it seem like the product can make you look better and be a healthier person, when we know that that literally is not the case. But we do know that investor funds use the user base and data from a company to leverage its value. And after 11 years, it's still called a startup and raising $115 million, valuing itself at $1 billion. And that's why they apparently spent over $2 million on podcasts to get people to click on a link called an affiliate link or a vanity URL. And then they use email to target people with offers. And it's a similar strategy used by Scentbird and the mind games they employ, which I've talked about in one of my previous videos, and how they're targeting people with low income and immigrants. And AlphaWave, the fund that owns this company, they're known to be one of the most aggressive hedge funds around. So the objective is to get more users and raise more capital, spend the least on advertising they can, and minimize any bad experiences. In reality, most people that use it have similar side effects.
I felt really sick when I was taking it. I felt kind of lethargic and bloated and a little bit nauseous and uncomfortable. And so as soon as I stopped, the symptoms went away and I just literally never opened the bag after.
And so you literally wasted $100, not to mention all the plastic packaging that comes with it. And speaking of plastic packaging and podcasts, well, Huel are all about that. They also sell merch while promoting themselves as sustainable. And they also obtain huge funds by overvaluing their company based on the amount of users.
2 million meals that we've sold.
I just did a quick calculation, and that's 12,500,000 a year. I mean, it's kind of a stretch.
So we did, in the first year, so we launched in June 2015, 750k, and the last year we just completed, the end of January this year, was 14.1 million, and this year we're going to do possibly 3 times that.
They actually made a loss that year.
Venture capital firms are still backing businesses where they see an investment case. One such business is Huel, the plant-based food brand, which today has announced a $24 million funding round, valuing it at $560 million. Among those investing was the actor Idris Elba. Well, joining me now is Huel's Chief Executive, James McMaster. James, good to see you this morning. What are you going to do with the money?
Well, let me take a guess. Pay for some more cringy TikToks and buy some more investments so the stock price keeps going up. By maybe divesting into instant food, all the while convincing people we're not selling a dodgy tea.
Flat tummy with moringa works like magic. Oh yes, it's 100% natural. It's a herbal product that have no side effect. It's 100% natural. There is no side effect.
One way Huel gets around any legal ramifications is by not making it clear if they're a meal replacement or a supplement. In their own comments section, they say Huel is designed to replace those quick, unhealthy meals. But then they do TikTok saying they're not a meal replacement.
Is Huel a meal replacement? No, Huel is not a meal replacement, and here's why. Generally, meal replacements are marketed and designed to support either weight loss or a fitness program. Meal replacements are often high in sugar and low in calories. However, with Huel, you can add more or less powder depending on the number of calories you want.
Oh yeah, I've not even talked about the amount of sugar or sugar substitutes that goes into these products, neither of which have any nutritional benefits. And the food labelling and regulations are there for a reason, not for them to find a loophole to get around. And then let's talk about the price. They target people with the least time and money. Whereas, as this guy rightly points out, an actual meal is the same price.
This stuff claims to be healthy and 100% nutritionally complete, when all they do is actually add a load of really small amounts of a load of different vitamins in there. But then it's filled with rapeseed oil, it has gums in it, and artificial sweetener. So I wouldn't consider that a meal at all. That's $3.50, and this is $3.50. I can get a real meal with pesto and couscous and chicken for the same price. Like, this isn't a food.
I've seen people in the comments section saying, well, I can't eat normal food, I have to have meal replacements. And I think that's very sad, and I think that's the wrong way our civilization should be going, like James pointed out. As a human species, we've evolved over thousands of years living on food off the land. And we didn't have all the illnesses and diseases caused by the modern manufacturing food processes. So I wish we could find better solutions.
Considered why the French, known for their superb food and wine, are typically thinner and healthier than Americans and Brits.
2 words, fast food. There's evidence there's a direct link between fast food chains like McDonald's and obesity. And I've travelled a lot in the US and in Europe. And in France and Europe, the quality of food is just generally so much better. They have big supermarkets, but they still have a lot of independent little bakeries and little cafes. And they have higher standards of food quality. And they're strict about safe work practice. The workers stand up for themselves over there, they go on strike, and they have a stronger culture with unions, and they have public holidays, they don't work on Sundays, and you go over there and their diets are just a lot better. But those are all things that venture capitalists that want to profit off companies try to get rid of. And that's the issue, because if you reduce the costs and the quality, the customers no longer want to buy it. But they use aggressive marketing to convince you, and it's not sustainable. But venture capitalists don't care about that. They care about growth and getting more investors and making more money for banks. And they do that by lying. And I don't know if all the influencers or the content creators that I've watched promoting it know they're lying. But it doesn't take too long to find out that these products are garbage. And the worst thing about it is they're trying to convince people that they don't need actual food anymore. And while I was researching the video, I found out that Stephen Bartlett, the same guy who's promoting Fiverr, another tech scam, well, he's on the Huel board of directors. Oh no! The same hedge fund companies are invested in the supermarkets and the food companies and the fast food chains and the data companies. And if they really wanted to make it easier for people, like firemen and health workers, and well, just anyone really, they'd have to go back to letting us have independent distributors and farms and stop all the overproduction. But they don't talk about that on the business news or the financial podcasts, where they make it seem like, well, you have to work harder and you have to make better investments. And they don't mention the billions of dollars that are lost by these same investments, because it's in their interest for the audience to believe that they need to do better as a person. I think it's called self-improvement or something. In this article, the CEO says the brand has only experienced very mild losses, but also that it's been profitable right out of the gate. Now that doesn't make sense. I'd go so far as to say it's one big gaslighting operation. I could go through every point on their mission statement or website and show the opposite of what they're claiming is true. Or you could go do your own research. Providing nutritional, affordable food sounds lovely, but it does not align with the goals of the investors. They literally hold lectures at universities on how startups should not be sustainable. And I find the divergence into merch and plastic cups and bottles and all the rest of it cannot in any way be justified as not impacting on the environment. So I don't know who they're trying to kid. Trying to make food into a capital efficient product is what got us into this mess. So doubling down sure as hell isn't going to get us out of it. The reality is it's benefiting only a small minority of people of a certain type. And there's not much more to say, but this has been going on since 1980, creating an image and hype over a bit of powder that does nothing but could potentially make you ill. So maybe if people stop buying it, it might go away. Don't let anyone talk to you like this guy.
Just like my granny. She got onto the product. I didn't know how to sell it to her, but I got her on the products and I stuck it in her face and said, listen, Granny, you're fat, you need this. Right?
In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the video. If anyone tries to sell you something like that, tell them to go and do some research, and I'll see you on the next one.